I want to bring in Cliff Albright, co-founder of Black Voters
Hey,
Matter.
Cliff. Hey, Cliff.
I told y'all this is a black show. Cliff, to the point, when we're talking about here, Cliff, really is, and why we're so emphasizing this, we have to be in, right now, in organization, mobilization mode. And to Melanie's point, meetings have to be taking place where we are meeting privately, individually, and it ain't always about posting stuff because you have to plan the action ahead. Speak to that.
Yeah, well, first let me just say I'm so jealous that I'm not there in that studio right now. Because this is the blackest State of the Union coverage, easily. But easily, right? But on a real tip, I mean, what you're talking about, and I want to pick up where Melanie left off, right? Because the thing that I've been saying is we need to be doing everywhere we are, wherever we're organizing our groups and our communities and our homes, we need to be having some conversations. In fact, if you're watching this right now, Google letter from Birmingham jail, because we need to be doing some real discussions around what I believe, Dr. King's letter from Birmingham jail is like a master class in the teachings, the concepts, the discipline, the rationale of nonviolent civil disobedience. And that's the moment that we're in right now. We got to be clear about that. There's a lot of strategies that we need to be doing. Some of them are economic. Some of them are, are media, like what we've been talking about. But we are at a moment, we're going to have to go even deeper on our civil disobedience than what we did back in 2020, right? But we've got to ground that in like a real understanding of what that is. In Dr. King's letter, he talks about the rationale. He talks about what makes up a just law and an unjust law. He talks about the white moderate, right? He talks about, all these kinds. He talks about the tension, the creative tension that's got to exist in order for nonviolent civil disobedience to work. He talks about why, when we hear wait, it sounds like never. And so we need to have some discussions so that we can ground what needs to be done in this moment. Because we're not going to phone bank our way out of this moment. We're not going to text our way out of this moment. And so I want to see us having some real conversations around that. And like Melanie said, some of that has got to take place offline, not on nobody's Zoom. The last thing I want to say is this, because y'all were talking about the intergenerational stuff. I think it's very telling that tonight at that speech that you had Al Green, who was the first to disrupt, but he wasn't the last. And he was followed by, so Al Green being one of the more senior members of the delegation of the Congressional Black Caucus, but also joined by people like Maxwell Frost, right? And so who's I think is the youngest member of the delegation. And so that's a metaphor of the type of intergenerational movement that we've got to have right now in this moment.
Yeah.
We're joined by Cliff Albright. Marching orders. What are yours?
I mean, first and foremost, we got to get involved. We got to get connected to some organizations. You went through a whole list of the organizations that you've had here. There's a whole bunch of other organizations that were on the 24-hour coverage. There's organizations in our communities. There's organizations on your block. There's organizations on your campus, right? And so we got to get connected, because at the end of the day, this is not, we are not in the position that we're in because we're dealt a certain way as individuals. We are in the position that we're in because we are dealt a certain way as a nation within a nation, as a group. And so the only way to come out of that is to come out of it collectively. If we know that one of the oldest techniques that's been used against us literally for centuries has been divide and conquer, then it stands to reason that the only way to get up out of this situation is to reverse the divide and conquer and to come together and to organize, right? And so that's my marching orders for everybody. Find some folks that you are like-minded with and then get about doing the work.
Absolutely. Cliff Albright, co-founder of Black Voters Matter. We appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Scotty, we appreciate. Actually, Scotty, you want to just